Peace, infinite waters diving deep once again. What's your addiction? For some people it's coffee, drugs, alcohol, hot women, fast cars, religion. For some people the world's an addiction. And when we talk of habits, I'm just realizing even on my own journey, I'm addicted to YouTube. I'm not really addicted though, I just like it, uploading videos. But for some people, I just remember on my journey how there was a time when I was growing up and I was going through a lot, and I said, okay, maybe some wine could help alleviate my problems. And I remember a voice came inside me and just said, don't go down that road. And till this day I thank the universe for that voice, because I know if I didn't listen, you might have seen me in Alcoholics Anonymous. I definitely wouldn't be making these videos. You know why they call alcohol spirits, right? And that's the whole thing, because these drinks that many people consume don't realize that you're not even seeing where they are being made. And in ancient times, even in medieval times, the way to poison even a king or anyone would be through a liquid form. So when we look at all of these things, when we talk of addiction, when you can actually look at things in a holistic way, you can say to yourself, what I'm putting inside my body, it may even be another entity. Do I really want another entity inside my sacred temple? That's the questions we have to ask ourselves. And for me, I didn't want any entity within me. But at the same time, many of us, we are addicted. This is the big question. Why are so many of us addicted to things which lead to our own destruction? Because it's all been done by design. How this system is set up is for people to kill themselves. Be addicted to love. Be addicted to water. Be addicted to nature, because addiction is not a bad or good thing. It's just a consequence of an action. But one of the most paramount things many of us have to see, and I saw this on my journey, is that when we talk of addiction, if you want to deal with it, you have to look at two things. Victim consciousness mentality. Whenever you say you're a victim, oh, I'm doing this because of what happened in the past, then you're giving yourself a reason to continue with your own action. And also you have to look at not only the victim mentality, but you have to look at so many other things which also help perpetuate and help give you a conviction that what you're doing is the right thing. When you can say, I am not a victim, that empowers you. When you can look at your addiction and say, I created this reality. Many people feel that other people have given them their addictions. When we realize that we are co-creators in this 3D reality, we empower ourselves and we say, I have the power. I can make the change. But it's all you. It can only be done by you. Living in denial. And this is one of the biggest things which keeps us addicted to certain things. And it's never going to happen to me. That's what everyone says. Smokers say, well, they died, but I'm still alive. Or that person is 100 years old. Nothing happened to them. Well, we're all going to die. That mentality keeps us justifying. Whenever you justify your own addiction, then you don't want to change. Because we have to also look at the words we use to define ourselves. A lot of people say, I am addicted to this. We should change that sentence to, I am overcoming an addiction. Even if you're doing something, the words that we use are very powerful, because words are vibrations. They are spells coming from the grimoire, grammar, the book of spells. So we have to look at all of this and realize that many people are living a life which is hazardous to their own health. But they are desensitized. So we have to make ourselves more sensitive to begin to be able to feel again, and that would thus in turn help us overcome our addictions. But essentially, it's all up to you, the individual who wants to change, to realize that the power lies in your hands. And for me, I'm just realizing when we talk of addictions, a lot of people, when we say, how do we deal with addictions? For me, one solution, I realize there are many different solutions, because every single person is different. And all of us are addicted to something. Many of us, we have been, since birth, we've been programmed. So to break this programming requires incredible strength. And one thing about addiction we have to remember, even on my journey I remember, is that nobody can solve your own addiction. No books, no speeches, nothing like that. It's only you can cure your own addiction. Only when you say, okay, I want to cure my condition, my addiction, that's when the change will come. You have to be ready. Nobody is going to do it for you. And I've realized that even on my journey, sometimes when I've been like addicted to certain, even knowledge is an addiction as well. When we're always searching for the truth, enlightenment. And for me, I always say enlightenment is knowing how much you don't know. You got to go crazy first. That's enlightenment. And a lot of the times I'm just realizing that you have to be ready to change. And a lot of times you have to ask yourself the fundamental question: why? Why am I doing what I'm doing? And that gets back to critical thinking. As a society, many of us, we've lost the critical thinking which is necessary for our evolution, which is what, why, all of these things. And when we ask ourselves, why are we doing this? Many people will realize it's because of maybe stress. So therefore we have to realize, okay, what things can I do in my lifestyle which might help alleviate my addiction? So for example, if you're drinking, if you've been drinking all your life and you want to stop, many people don't actually reflect and say, okay, why am I doing this? Many people just say, oh, I've been doing it. And when you say why, maybe you can say, maybe it's because of depression. And that's the whole, when we look at it like this, many people don't want to see the world, don't want to see the world's ugliness and really dig deep into it. So many of us, we're using these addictions, even if it's coffee, something as simple as that, we're using it to get away from ourselves. That's why many people, when they're going to Starbucks, they're drinking their coffee, and it's like it becomes a pattern, and it's just to speed up. We're speeding up all the time. We're running all the time to get away from ourselves. So for me, on my journey, I'm realizing that even I still have addictions. Certain times, all of us, I feel we're all really striving for elevation, because humanity, as I see it, is a cell. Therefore, everyone is connected. So whatever's happening in the East is going to happen in the West. Because humanity is a cell, we are the mitochondria. So therefore, if we're weak, then the planet is weak. And that's what's happened to so many people. Many people are living in low vibration. So therefore, what happens? We want a solution to our problems. But instead of people actually going and realizing that what they're doing will not solve it, many people dull their senses. So that's why I said in the beginning, you have to really want to change, to say, okay, because a lot of the addictive things we participate in are actually killing our senses. And that's why the longer you do something, the harder it is for you to stop, because you're losing your natural gifts. So therefore, we have to realize that the truth hurts. And I realized that on my journey. Even some of the topics I talk about, I'm like, do you really want to dive deep? Do you really want to dive deep today? Because So, but at the same time, it will liberate you. When you actually face reality, that's the reality check. Awakening to a world of infinite possibilities. To realize, okay, the addiction, even smoking, I used to work with a colleague, and for me, I always look at it like this. That's the state of the planet. Even though people know things are killing them, we're still doing it. Because many of us, we have become masochistic. And not only inflicting pain on other people, more so inflicting pain on ourselves. So it's, things have really gotten out of hand. So therefore, with addictions, people have to be honest to themselves. More so, they have to surrender. And that's how I see it. Because for a lot of us, when you can actually realize that many people say, I want to change, but they don't really want to change. Because you have to look at your life now. What steps are you taking to cure your addiction? If you're not taking the necessary steps right this very moment, then you don't really want to change. Procrastination is the greatest thief of time. A lot of people are like, okay, I'm going to sort myself out in the next 2 weeks. There is only now. Time is an illusion, a man-made concept designed for your own slavery. So if you want to do something, you got to do it right now. And for me, that's what I realized on my journey. But essentially, many of us, we're addicted to so many things on the planet because we are under a spell. We are under a trance. And that's the thing, the trance the trance has gotten us all in a kind of drone state, a zombie culture, where people are not ready to face the truth. And that's where it all comes down to you. When you can actually look in the mirror and say, oh, I accept myself. Many people don't want to accept how they look, so they delve into things that can get away from themselves. But at the same time, addictions aren't, in my mind, good or bad. There is no good or bad in the universe. This is just duality. Essentially, there's only consequences and there's only resonance. So when we realize that every action we have has a consequence, so we have to take responsibility for our actions. And realize, even in the foods, you've got the GMO foods, the heavy meats, the dairy. We steal cow's milk. We're the only species that drinks another species' milk. Eating chicken fetuses, eggs, all of these things. But at the same time, many of us, we're not even emotionally ready to kill our own food, the animals. If you watch Slaughterhouse. So even all of these foods we're addicted to. We're addicted to them because we're not actually seeing how they've been made. And that's for me, a long, long time ago, when I was addicted to the same foods many people are on the planet. Cookies, biscuits, burgers, and all of these things. You realize it's because you don't know who you are. When you know who you are, and you realize that you are what you eat, drink, think, all of these things, then you realize, okay, I have to put life into my body. I can't put death into my body. So a lot of the time when we talk of addiction, it also helps when you can actually think critically. To think critically, you have to turn off all the other distractions around you. The TV. Anything which is going to drain your energy. Put yourself in the right environment. A lot of people are stressed, yet they're going to even work like 12 hours a day, and they're wondering why they're stressed. That's why they come back home and they pour themselves a bottle of whiskey, a cup of whiskey. They drink and they smoke and they do all of these things because they're getting away from themselves. But if you actually look at their lifestyle pattern, this is what causes it. So for me, it's about looking at your lifestyle. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't attempt to be. I just strive for balance. Infinite waters. Diving deep, it's about to rain. Gonna mess up my camera. Peace.